Now, Mr. Okay,
Yes.
some people lost their homes in these floods. What is the government doing for such persons?
Part of our thinking is to do a resettlement plan where we look at the most critical part and the most critical people. We resettle some into some of the houses that the government had built over the years that's been abandoned and still okay, but no one has moved into there. We have some around, scattered all around the cities that the government is looking at to resettle some. And in some cases, we look at it is by case issue. Some have illegal, some are not even, don't even have the approval to build in such areas. So those, we'll look at it on a case by case basis before we now decide who is, but the government has a resettlement package for everyone involved in the whole process.
So what will be the time scale when you say that the government has been able to get 200 billion?
$200 million.
$200 million. The million and the billion.
No, the government has not gotten
has not gotten it yet.
Okay,
that's
so
on course.
It's still on course, but in principle, we've been assured that due to the emergency nature, and then with the recent rain of last week, the federal government, Federal Ministry of Finance is helping us to speed up the process as well. But technically, we've not been awarded the grant yet. But in principle, we've been assured that all things being equal, we'll get the fund.
now some people have said that the channelization is going to be one of the key things
Yes.
that would help to stem this flood that happens. So what's the time scale for making it happen?
The main river, the two main rivers in Ibadan is the Ogunpa River and the Ono River. They crisscross the city. Lower Ogunpa has been channelized after the 1980 flood. The upper one is part of this World Bank project. And then the main one is the Ono River that now goes all through the ones you showed just now. The Ono River is 30 kilometer of rivers and streams.
30 kilometers.
And that will be channelized all through. So what we did in this...
So when's that going to be done?
Hopefully, that's part of the World Bank.
Once the money comes.
Once the money comes, we've done the drawings and everything has been identified, the channel routes.
So how long do you think that will take? Because it doesn't sound like 30 kilometers of anything is not expected to be a quick fix.
With what we've done now, what we've done is we've dredged most of the rivers already to open it up. So by the time the issue of channelization is to open up and concretize it all the way through,
that's a 6 months, 1 year, 4 year job.
I believe it should be.
How many
if
years?
it's fun.
You
Because
see,
I would
in
like...
time for the next rain.
I'm sure.
I think it will be in time for the next rainy
rain.
season. The truth is that when you're talking with development partners, with monetary institutions, international financiers, it takes some time. As a matter of fact, if it is not now, institutions like World Bank wouldn't listen to Oyo State because they've taken Oyo State as never been serious.
A parallel state.
But since the administration came in, they told us that now we're back on their map and they're ready because they've seen the level of presentation, they've seen actions on the part of the government, and they've seen sincerity of purpose. So they are ready and willing. And the government has put together a committee that is working on day-by-day basis with them. One thing that I think will help the situation now is if the federal government would just consider the people in Oyo State and fulfill the promise they made on 26 August last year when the flooding started in the first instance. I believe is a kind
What
of...
is the
And
exact
the president
price?
came.
The president came.
The president
He
came.
flew around with our governor, saw the devastation, and made a categorical statement,
Which is?
the federal government would assist in revamping the infrastructures damaged by the rains, and then in assisting to channelize some of these rivers so that the incessant flooding can be forestalled.
Has anything been done?
I'm telling you, as of now, nothing has been done. But that is not to castigate the federal government, but it is to appeal to them that they should remember that Oyo State is part of Nigeria. and the people are part of the people of this country. So it is a sort of emergency that ought to be declared, so that the government, federal government, with the state government will collaborate on this and forestall this. If you remember the level of death recorded, the devastation to properties was quite enormous. And I don't think that has happened in Southwest in recent years.
Now, what is your experience with those who have built along the pathway, the channel pathway, when you ask them to move because they are part of the problem? Is it the same experience as Lagos State has? The people say that this has been their grandfather's land it's been in their family for donkey's years, and they are not going to move.
Well, you see, people have been running around. As a matter of fact, some people do come to me. They want us to live in our houses. But the question that any right-thinking person should ask them is, what is the benefit of living when you're going to die as a result of flooding? So the best thing for anybody to do is to move out. As a matter of fact, the people that went to court, I don't know the rationale behind that. And look at it from this angle again. If you have an area that is being devastated, it could be just 2 houses within the area that will be the cause. Because those houses have blocked the path, and water will always find its channel. So if you don't build your house on the floodplain, and you got the necessary approval to build where you have built, and water has come because somebody else is doing the wrong thing, it means all of them will be affected. Okay. But at the end of the day, if we remove those that are blocking, those that didn't block will be free.
Okay, if one were to play the people's advocate, those people who built houses in those locations that they shouldn't have, they were granted permission by some government officials.
Yeah.
Will that be right or wrong?
It will be right. To some extent, it will be right. It was part of the route. But thank God, the civil service that we have right now in Oyo State is
the change over the last
years. They've become responsive and responsible
since the governor came into office.
Yes, it's part of the reorientation that we have been able to institutionalize in all areas of service. Okay. People are alive to their responsibilities.
Now, if you say that, then would you say that the government owe the people a level of responsibility and duty to ensure that if you're relocating them, something is given to them? Because I guess people don't want to move out of their houses.
That is exactly
because
what
they don't have options.
That is what the Special Advisor on the Environment has said. There are some housing estates that are not being used. The government is compiling the list of those affected with the intention to put them right and then resettle them there. Some will probably need money. They can take care of themselves. So because these housing estates will not go around for everybody.
So there is the relocation process, Mr. Okay. When is this going to start, and what is the specific timescale for implementing it?
Well, let's go back to after the flood. When the committee came up, they came up with about 2,000 houses to be demolished. And then His Excellency with the administration looked at all the most serious ones and the less serious ones. And after that, we did give relief materials to some that needed to rebuild their fences, their roofing sheets and all that. But the most critical ones are the ones that will be resettled. Most of them are actually, as of now, moved out of their houses already. Those ones, over a period of, before the end of the year or very soon, they will be relocated. Those are the most critical ones. Then we'll look at it, as I said earlier, we'll look at it case by case basis. But the most critical ones have already moved out. And some we've demolished about 50 something houses out of the 2,000 that we're supposed to. So we're looking at it like the ones you show in Ojo and Elewe now. We've engaged the community. Part of the process we're putting in place is we engage the community. The government is not just going in there to demolish those houses. We engage the community to let them understand why some of the structures will have to go. And you realize that some of them know the right houses to go, but they will still tell you that you can't demolish Mr. X house, knowing that Mr. X house is the problem. So what we tell them is go and talk to Mr. S with you guys. if you agree to demolish the house, we move in, we do that. So we're engaging the community to know that this has to be done for us to go further. And so it's a continuous process that we're going through.
I'm sure before the end of the year, those that need to be resettled will be resettled. And most of these houses will also go, because we are also engaging them in court, because we won't leave that process to the whims and caprice of the people that are there.
Okay. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. We wish you all the best in the work that you're doing, and in an attempt to save lives in Oyo State. We have been chatting with the Commissioner for Information in Oyo State, Mr. Bosun Adeli, as well as the Special Advisor to the Governor on the Environment, Mr. Yomi Oke.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
More rains are expected, more flooding is expected, so we all have to be on our toes to make sure that we don't get swept away in the floods.
That's right.
We'll return in just a moment with the home stretch. Don't go away.